I have been making postcards for years, but when I send them in the mail, they are wrecked. Well, Jennifer McGuire, who's an amazing engineer turned crafter, had an amazing idea. So I snagged her idea. I'm giving credit to Jennifer McGuire, but I created my own postcard design and I created my own postcards. This is available as a free download. I love making them so much that I made, I think, 50. And I think I'm just going to just keep making postcards. I think maybe I'm going to wrap them up and give them as gifts. I'm not really sure. But this is 3 layers of cardstock, the postcard cardstock, the Nina 110 pound that I colored on with Copic markers, and I put some transparency, that's not true. What did I put? Laminating sheets, single layer laminating sheets on top to protect them, which makes them shiny and sturdy, and it was amazing. I love these Anita Jeram stamp sets. I mean, hooked, I'm addicted. I need to have them all. I love the fact that the illustrations are so cutie, but I also love the fact that I don't have to be an amazing colorer to get these to look amazing. If you hear my cat scratching in the background, I apologize. You can stamp multiples and just change out the sentiments. You can color the images. As you can see, those critters are just primary colors or just colors or not animal colors because they're so fun. I love this Father's Day, this little mouse sitting in a chair holding his little baby. I love all of these little cutie rabbits and mice and bears. I mean, it's amazing. So these are all the postcards that I made, and I'm going to show you what I did. So as I said, I've been collecting Anita Jeram stamps. When they come out, I got to buy them all. And I love using stamp sets more than once. So I grabbed all of the ones that I had in my stash that were not Christmas. I am missing a few of her illustrations. I also buy the dies for each one, but in these particular cards, you don't need any dies. Anita Jeram also gives you a little example of an illustration. You can see how easy and quick her coloring is. And she doesn't blend, she just lays the color down. And so I just went through my stash and I was just thinking, well, how do I want these to look? What do I want to do? And because I was doing a single layer and I knew I was just putting some grass or some rain or a sky or something like that, I'm like, well, what do I really want to do? So this was my first foray, if that's the right word, into masking. I've done some masking, but this was a lot of masking for me. And I kind of struggled with it just a little bit because I really wasn't quite sure, but I think I figured it out, and I'm going to just kind of show you what I did. But these are all the different stamp sets. I did not use the stripes and dots, but it's a great stamp set to create your own backgrounds. So this is the postcard that I created. It's a 4x6 postcard. You need to maybe adjust your printer to make sure that it fits, makes a 4x6. And it's a free download at positivelyjane.net/postcard. So go on and grab your free download, and I'm going to show you how to cut it. So I created these tick marks for you. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put your cardstock under your printer. I like this one because that guide wire, that guideline, just lines right up to the tick marks, and that's exactly where it's going to cut. So I always cut from bottom to top. I bump it up to the top bumper, and I cut from bottom to top. And now I'm going to turn it 90 degrees counterclockwise because that's the edge that I cut, so that's my straight edge. And now I'm going to line up this second guidelines again, right there and right at the bottom to top. I'm going to now go 90 degrees counterclockwise again, and I'm going to do this 4 times because there's 4 sides, and then I'm going to cut down the middle. And you will have some perfect 4x6 postcards. Again, you might need to adjust your printer settings. Just experiment on some printer paper. This is Nina 80-pound cardstock. And if you don't have a color printer, just take them to a local place that can print them for you. It doesn't use very much ink. You can maybe print it all in black if that's what you choose to do as well. So when I'm doing assembly line, when I'm doing multiples, I try to get all of my components ready ahead of time. So I cut my card stack, I cut my postcards, I grabbed this Stick It bulk pack, but this Altenew works great too because it's 8x12 because they're 4x6. So you want to make sure that, you know, you're not cutting down an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock, because you're only going to get 2 rather than 4. And then I'll link to all these products. This is great self-sealing laminating sheets, and you don't have to have a machine. You just stick them on there, and I cut those all to 4 by 6 as well. So what I did was I put all of my, I'm sorry, it's not all what I did. Well, I did do that. I grabbed my 4 by 6 Nino 110-pound cardstock, and I lined up my image trying to figure out, well, how did I want to do it? So this particular guy that I did earlier, I put the happy day underneath and I put the bear on top. Well, I decided to do this one a little bit differently, so I put the bear in there. I'm using the Hero Arts Intense Black ink because I'm using Copic coloring, and I apologize for the jump. My camera sits on my desk. And when you're doing one, you might as well just do 2 or 3, and you can just change out the sentiments. And so in this situation, I did 2 of each. I also grabbed my Gina K Masking Magic, and I'm lining up the bear. And I need to, I'm going to trim it down because I don't need to stamp the whole thing, because I only need the bottom, because we're going to color the grass with ink and ink blending tools rather than with Copic markers. I don't do really well with coloring sky and grass with Copics. And the reason I love the Anita Jeram illustrations is because I can be a messy colorer and I don't have to blend, and it looks absolutely awesome. Now, I should have put a little more ink on there, but just cutting it out for a mask, so I'm all good. So I'm lining up my sentiment. I stamp my sentiment, my sweet little things right there, kind of tucked it in close to the bear. And then I'm going to stamp these rabbits. These are some of my absolute favorite rabbits. And I stamped those twice on cardstock as well as the mask. So now I'm cutting off the bottom of the mask. And you just kind of get in all the little nooks and crannies. I find it's easier to turn my paper than it is to turn my scissors. And just cut it out, and there you go. You've got yourself a mask. You're going to peel that off, and you're going to put that on top of the image that's on your cardstock. We're going to be inking up the landscaping, the grass in this situation. So just cover it up. Sorry about my hair, it's spiky and it just always sticks out in my videos. I'm going to grab the Concord & Knife Sprout ink. I love it. And I have these Tailored Expressions ink blending brushes. I wanted a very light hand, just a slight hint of green. I'm not looking for a whole lot of grass here. And I like to, this is how I'm right-handed, so I like to put it this way. So I'm starting on the mask and putting the ink on the design rather than the other way. Otherwise, I get a little blob. And because it's just a small little bear, I didn't really want a whole lot of ink there. I didn't want to go from side to side. I just kind of wanted to center it under the bear. And I will show you how I finish that off in just a second. So let me show you how I do that again. I put that on top, do a little bit of ink blending. I love the reveal when I pull off my mask. Same with this guy here. Laying it all on there. Then I'm going to grab my sprout. Now, I cut off the tail of the mouse, so I had my masks. I always save my masks from my previous postcards. So I kept this one because I wanted to have the tail. I don't know why I cut the tail off. Who knows? So I always keep all of my masks in the stamp pocket just for the future. And again, I'm just putting on a little light hand of Sprout Green coloring and getting my little grass going on there. Now you can see that green's kind of floating off to the side. So just grab yourself a Sharpie or a micro whatever pen they're called. I keep wanting to say micropore, but that's not it. And just connect those green lines to the rest of your design. Do a little bump like it's grass, and there you go. And in my humble opinion, it really just brings the design to life, and it looks like that's how it was intended. So I did this with every single one of my postcards, and I love the way it came out. Now I cut a circle out of masking paper with a infinity die. I wanted to make a sun. I got this idea from Jennifer McGuire. She is a genius. So I am putting it down, and I drew a little pencil line around it because I can't draw circles, and I drew a very wonky circle, and I added lines because I wanted to keep in with the style. And I can't draw, and this is the best kind of drawing I could possibly do. So I'm using Pink Fresh ink, I think Lemon Whip or something like that, and my ink blender brush and I just want a little halo around the sun, I will go back and color the sun. And I use Copics to color everything. Illustrator style is no blending. It's just easy peasy coloring. Look at that cute little sun. So I did that with quite a few of my cards. Not all of them, postcards. Not all of them, but just some of them. And I'm not really paying much attention to how I'm doing it. Let me just show you. I just drew a line around it with a pencil. And then I didn't even erase that pencil line because you can't even see it. But you can erase it if that switch, floats your boat. I'm like all about saving microseconds in life because they add up to minutes. And those minutes add up to hours. And by the time I'm dead, maybe I've saved 3 hours by not erasing pencil lines. So anyhow, I'm adding my halo again around my sun. Let me just show you what I'm doing. Completely off camera, but you get the idea. I have camera issues all the time. I'm not really sure why, but there you go. It's all good. And my hair's spiky, so it's always getting in the camera angle. So there you go. So these are the Copics that I used to color the bear. I did add some extra Copics for the sun. I just wanted to show you what I used. And I'm just going to speed through this and show you what I did. Nothing exciting. I mean, Copic coloring is usually all about the blending. This is all about getting the color down on the paper. And I can't wait to mail these postcards to people, and I can't wait to package them up for my friends. I have so many stamp sets that I don't have the dies for. Well, this is such an easy way of coloring and an easy way to make a card or a postcard. You can even make these on cards. And, you save money on postage, although they're a little thick, so you need to check with your post office to see. And you can see, I'm just like flicking on color. I'm not really just flicking it on. I try to get their hands colored and a little bit, just flick. I want it to kind of look like fur. I'm not really sure. It looks like fur, but this is kind of how I did it. And just flicking the color on, it all blends in together. And of course, you cannot forget the pink for the cheeks. And normally I would put like a glazed pen on their eyes, but because this was a postcard, I decided not to do that. And that is bear number 1. That's how I did with all the bears. And then I'm going to grab these 4 yellow markers that I use for the sun. And I'm just going to do some quick blending with those. And I think it starts with 18 to 2 maybe, Y's. And I'm just laying it down, heavy-handed. Next color down. I found with this, it's better to have, all of the ones that kind of blend together so you're not spending a whole lot of time blending. And we just got ourselves a cutie little sun with a nice little glow. And it takes up the corner of that card. And I love the way he's looking up at that sun. I think it's absolutely, just be still my heart. So this is what I used to color the rabbits. I did the rabbits, I didn't color them rabbit colors. I colored them colors. And so I just picked whatever colors you want to choose. You just go ahead and grab them. And, this would be good for colored pencils, or if you wanted to do, well, I'm not sure I do watercolor, but colored pencils would be perfect. And you can blend your colors with Gamsol, which is kind of like a baby oil when you get this little stubby thing, and you can blend all your colors with colored pencils, which is so fun. And so that's what I did to color this particular animals. So I'm just adding the pink for the cheeks. Always got to add the little pink for the cheeks. And here are the 2 4x6 cards that I colored. So let me show you how I put them together. It's really, really easy. You need a Score Buddy or a Misty or something with a square edge. So this is my stick it adhesive, and I fold it down. You can take the whole thing off, but I find it's much easier. Try not to touch the sticky part. And take the top part and fold it down, because you're going to put that in the corner of your whatever. So you can see the left and the top are right in the corner of my Score Buddy. And then you can either take your postcard piece or your colored piece, and you're going to put it in that upper left-hand corner to make sure everything lines up. So make sure I just kind of hold it with my hand and just slide it in there, and then I stick down the right-hand side. And then I'm going to move it out of the way. I didn't fold this over exactly right, but the next one I'll do better. you just kind of pull these off and get your release paper out, and you're gonna kind of take see my left hand's kind of sliding with the stick it. And again, Altenew makes great double-sided adhesive as well. Just give your little finger action, and let me show you how to do another one. If your stick it doesn't stick the way you want it to, take a bone folder and just run it over the top of your what you just did so that it sticks a little bit better, and fold it down. And I find it easier to do it on the left. I'm sorry, pull it down on the right. Just that way I can get my left hand side in without it sticking. There we go. And you can see on the right there that a little bit of the stick it's a little bit longer than the card. Now, so that did not stick right. I did not put that in there. The beauty about stick it is if you don't push it down with a bone folder, you can peel it up. So I wanted to show you, boo-boos are always good to know how other people fix boo-boos. Sometimes before I first started making cards, I didn't know how to fix a mistake. And every once in a while, somebody on a video would show me how they fixed their mistakes. I'm like, oh, that's just genius. So I am putting my stick it back in, a new one. And now I'm going to definitely make sure I get this in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm making sure my stick it's lined up properly. There you go. And I'm going to peel back that release paper. And now I have my double-sided adhesive on the back of my colored images. And you can see that the Copics go through the 110-pound cardstock. You could conceivably print your color on thicker paper, print your postcard on thicker paper that won't go through. But I like the two different layers. So you need to, this is a vertical card, so you need to figure out where do you want your postcard stamp to be on this vertical card. There's no rhyme or reason, there's no right or wrong, it's totally up to you. So I decided I want my stamp at the bottom of the postcard. Don't ask me why, there's no reason. So I did it that way, and then I changed my mind and decided to put it at the top. So who knows? So I'm lining that up, and now I'm adding the postcard portion, and then I'm going to peel back that release paper. And now I have a sandwich of a postcard, stick it, and a colored image. And I love this. And again, I used to make lots of postcards, and they were flimsy, and they go through the mail, and by the time they got to the person, they were completely wrecked. And it was just a sad thing, all that trouble you went to make a postcard. So let me show you how I do this one more time. I'm just peeling back that adhesive. I'm trying not to touch it with my fingers. So I use what I call it a pokey tool. And make sure that your orientation of your stamp design is the same orientation as your postcard. I did ask me how I know. I had quite a few that were, not quite a few, but a few that were upside down. Which I'll probably send to my kids because they don't care if things are upside down. They're used to mom's cards opening up backwards and upside down. And there you go, another sandwich. So the last thing we need to do here is add the laminating sheet. Now, because it's handmade, not everything always cuts exactly 4x6. So if you've got some of the stick it or anything sticking out the side, just cut it off. I have Teflon scissors, so the sticky stuff does not stick to my scissors. And that one looks pretty good there. Got a little bit extra there too. So I'm going to cut that one off as well. And you can use your trimmer. I like using scissors. It just seems a little bit easier for me. But that's totally up to you on how you want to trim it out. Or don't even trim it out at all. You don't even have to trim it out at all. And here we are, still trimming. Editing videos is a tricky thing. I just want you to know. All right, now we're going to add that laminating sheet on top. So we're going to take, I call it the pokey tool, peel off the paper on the back, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to peel that off to the, fold it down, okay? I'm just kind of trying to show you where it is. I'm holding it down with my tool, pokey tool, folding it down, trying not to touch the clear because I don't want it to get smudged, and get all the little boogers off of your card, eraser marks and stuff like that, because each one will show. I have quite a few with a little quote-unquote bubbles when I wasn't cleaning my card off correctly. So make sure you clean it off. Colored side down. And then what you're going to do, I don't know if I showed you this or not, I'll let you know in a second, is take your bone folder and there you go. Or run it through your die cut machine to flatten it out to make sure it sticks really, really well. And if you have a few bubbles, you can just, before you run your bone folder on it, you can usually push those bubbles out and you're good. Now this particular one has a little piece that pulls off because you're cutting up these laminating sheets, so they all have a little cut area for you to peel it off quicker. But if you cut it in 4x6 size, you might not have that. Face down, put it in your score buddy. And when you peel it off, see my left hand kind of follows it. That's just to make sure that I don't have any bubbles. And then I do it this way because I was scratching my laminating pouch and I didn't want to do that, although the post office is probably going to scratch it anyhow. So there's the 2 cards that I made today, postcards. I really like them. Go on, grab yourself the free download and just enjoy making your postcards from any stamps and dies that you have. And you can see how you can just take one image and make it completely different by adding a sun, a different sentiment. This is one of my absolute favorites. I love that umbrella, and it doesn't even have to be rainbow color. It could be something totally different. Birthday postcards, all kinds of postcards. So go on out and make yourself some postcards. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell.